Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sheldina. Let's talk about one of my favorite things, which is books. Y'all, I have my hair in a claw clip. I got distracted, but I have my hair in a half up claw clip because I washed it. I went to the gym today. I felt good today. Period. Okay, I washed my hair, and so I just did a little whoop-de-whoop because I don't feel like doing nothing with it. I could at least put mousse in there to hold the curls, but I didn't even feel like doing that. But anyway, so let's get back to the topic on hand. I read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and I actually didn't read this physical book. I didn't have it. I got it from my library, and while I was reading it, I told my husband, I'm enjoying this book so much, I'm gonna buy it. And I would literally purchased it. The minute I finished it, it came the very next day. That's how much I enjoyed it. So this follows Star, and she is at a party with her brother's sister. So they share sibling, but they are not siblings. You know, it's like a step parent situation. But she is at a party and stuff goes awry. They're shooting. She removes herself. She sees her childhood best friend, and he's like, come with me, I'll take you home. So she gets in the car with him to go away from the situation. They remove themselves from a dangerous situation at the party. They don't want to be part of it, you know. So he is driving her home. Shortly after they get in the car, they get pulled over, and the cop is like, license and registration. And he's like, you know, can I ask why you're pulling me over? Cop is not answering. And now, granted, I forget his name, Khalil? I believe it's Khalil. I mean, he has a little bit of an attitude, because I mean, you pulled me over and you're not. Tell me why. So he asks again. Cop is still saying license and registration. So he's like, well, I don't have to give you my ID. And the cop is like, license and registration, license and registration. So he's like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and reach. I'm gonna get my license, give you my registration. So he gives it to the cop, and the cop is like, do you have anything in the car? And he was like, what? And he was like, do you have anything in the car? And they were like, no. And then he was like, get out the car. First of all, why are you asking me to get out the car? I don't even know why you stopped me. And now you're asking me to get out the car, right? So he gets out the car, and the cop says like, oh, keep your hands where I can see them, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna go run your stuff in the back, you know, in my car. So he goes run it, and Khalil moves to the car, and he's like looking in, asking her, is she okay? Like, you doing okay? You know, being pulled over by the police, especially while black, can be a little bit traumatizing, okay? So he's asking if she's okay. Cop, I guess, gets scared and shoots him 3 times. Not sure why you shot him that many times when he didn't have anything and you saw he didn't have anything. Shot him 3 times. She comes around and she is trying to hold her friend and like be there for him, but she realized like he's gone. So she's obviously weeping, and the cop still has his gun pointed at her. It's like, stay there, stay there. I'm sacked, okay? And so she is sitting there until, you know, he calls for backup or whatever, and they put Khalil in the ambulance. No one is checking on her to see if she's okay. So the story like follows from there, and basically she is now a witness. She's talked to the police, but instead of asking questions pertaining to like what exactly happened, and I mean they did a little bit, it was mostly like, oh, do you think Khalil sold drugs? Did he tell you he was a drug dealer? Like making him out to be the bad person. Story of our lives, right? So he gets killed by the cop, but now all of a sudden it's like he's a thug, he's a drug dealer, he's a, you know, like paint the picture to the media that like if he's off the street, we're all better for it. And so it was such a very sad and heartfelt story, but at the same time it was beautiful in that like Star, you know, at first she was scared to let people know that she was the witness in the car because she didn't want the police to be looking at her a certain type of way. She didn't want to be a target for them, where, you know, and there were some parts where they did treat her family kind of like a little cray-cray because they knew that she was the one who spoke against their friend. even though her uncle is a police as well. But you know, she didn't want them to know. Then she didn't want her community to know because she didn't want them to think that she's not doing enough. And she also didn't want her school to know because she goes to a school in another town with predominantly white children because her parents wanted her to be in a better school. And so she didn't want her classmates to know because she didn't want them to think, you know, that what the media is saying is true, that she was in a car with a drug dealer and, like, you know, they had drugs in a car or they had a gun in a car and they were gonna harm the police. So she's like keeping quiet for a lot of the book. I mean, she's obviously doing her due diligence with actually speaking to the police, but that's it. But in the end, you know, she finds her voice and she's like speaking out against the violence that is police brutality, but also just like speaking to what a good person her friend really was, and, you know, not what they are portraying of him. And so it was a very good book. And in the end, she lists the names of some people who are in real life got murdered by the hands of police, like Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Emmett Till, and the list goes on. But when she was listing the names of those people, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. It was like, this happens way too often for there not to be a better outcome. You know what I mean? But yeah, the book was phenomenal. And I would recommend it to anyone. I would actually recommend it more to people who don't live, like, that's not your reality. I would recommend it to you because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't read books because I can't relate. First of all, that's crazy. You don't have to relate to a character in a book to read a book, for one. And two, I would encourage you to read books where you don't relate to the characters because you're seeing life from a different lens, right? And so I would recommend it. If this is not your reality, you should read it, because just because it's not yours doesn't mean it's not real, right? It's someone else's reality. This thing is happening. This happens to people. Like, we've seen it too many times. And it's like, you know, in the book, the cop's dad was like, oh, he was scared, you know, because he was reaching for something. First of all, he wasn't reaching for anything. He was checking to see if his friend was okay. But even still, there was nothing in the car. The only thing that was in the car was a hairbrush. Like, I feel like unless you see a gun drawn at you, there's no reason for you to shoot and assume. Like, and my thing is, if you're that scared, why is that the profession that you've chosen? But anyway, I will digress. But for the people who say books aren't political, it's because you're not reading the correct books. And it's because you're choosing to view books and life from a small lens, which is just your own reality. But books are very political, and I enjoyed this book a lot. But on a lighter note, I read Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas. This one is so thick, and it's thick because she fucked 4 of the brothers. Literally 5 brothers, she fucked 4 of them. She ended up with 1 of them. But it follows, what is her name? My God, I'm always forgetting people's name. Christian. And it's spelled Krisjen, Christian. But so it follows Christian, and she is from a different area. They're kind of like separated and divided by land, and I don't know how to like describe it, almost like tribes, but they're not Native Americans, but they have their own clickety click, I guess. So her family is not supposed to be associated with these brothers, right? But for some reason, their kind, the brothers, likes their women, okay? They like their women. I don't know if it's because they're untouchable or whatnot, but she has grown fond of these brothers. One of them was her friend, and that's the one she used to fuck all the time. But she just become very comfortable with being at their house. So she spent lots of nights at their house. For some reason, I'm like, the brother is still there. He's still very much there and accessible, but for whatever reason, she was just going around fucking all the different brothers. It was like she was making it her mission to fuck them all. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind spice at all in books. I don't. But to me, the plot was not plotting. It was not plotting. Like, I don't know. Okay, I don't know how I feel about the entire book. Like, apart from her doing them, they had other things going on. Like, there was a war between people, and I say war, it's conflict really, between other people and other families, and she was like getting in the middle of it, trying to assist the brothers, but it was just meh, the plot. The entire book, I would say it was okay. I don't know what I gave it. I don't think I rated it. I don't even think I marked that I finished it, but I did finish it. I would say I would give it around 3.5. It was okay. It was okay. Yeah. And I'm not being judgmental by any means necessary. It just wasn't a better book. I think if the plot was different, I feel like I would have preferred it to be a different reason why she was doing the brothers, other than just doing them to do them. Like, maybe if you were dating one and y'all broke up and he went away, and then you fell for his other brother, and then so and so and so and so. But they all lived in the same house together, all 5 of them. And so for you to just be hopping from bedroom to bedroom, I was like, I mean, I'm not slut shaming. You can very well jump from bedroom to bedroom to bedroom. That's your prerogative. But because they were brothers and they were all there was no need, in my opinion. Like, you could have just kept doing the same one. I don't know. So, and then the actual plot outside of that was just eh. So that's how I felt about that. But I am going to read more by the author, okay? Because she's nasty. And that's a good thing. I like it. I love it. I love when women speak so openly about sexuality, okay? It's fun. But anywho, so I also read The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose, and the lighting, I feel like, is changing outside. Are you getting dark on me? That one directly follows The Perfect Marriage, which I thought was okay. Thought it was good, not bad, not great. There was a lot of things that didn't make sense in there, and I feel like just wouldn't happen in real life. And I feel like this book, you know, kind of tried to clean that up. But it felt to me like the same situation that was happening in The Perfect Marriage, if you've read it, happened again in The Perfect Divorce. This one just felt like more cat and mouse than the first one. There really wasn't much of that. So I don't know if you read the first, if you haven't read The Perfect Marriage. The Perfect Marriage, her husband's mistress gets murdered and she is defending her husband. In this one, she is married to a new person and they have a daughter together, and they are getting divorced because he cheated on her. And I felt like both of them thought they were above the law. Like, the law didn't apply to them. They're both attorneys, but the law didn't apply to them. They did whatever they wanted, got away with whatever they wanted, and it just didn't make sense to me. And there was, I don't want to give it away. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to speak on it. But I didn't really care for it. I really felt like it was not needed. It was really to try to clean up bad work that the detectives did in the beginning. But I feel like it didn't do a better job this time. They did not. Like, they said they were going to, but there wasn't much investigating, there's the word, that was happening, in my opinion. There was definitely more investigating this time, and I felt like the detective actually was committed to finding out the truth this time around, whereas last time they were kind of like whatever. However, it still wasn't much investigating going on, and I feel like it wasn't much putting 2 and 2 together, if that makes sense. Like, How many husbands you're gonna have that is gonna cheat on you, that their mistress is just gonna keep missing? You know what I mean? I don't know. In my opinion, the book wasn't needed. And I was thinking while I was reading it, oh God, I hope there isn't a third book. I was really thinking of that, and that sounds so mean, but I'm like, I just can't go through this again. And obviously I don't have to, and I don't think I will. If there's a third book, I don't think I'll read it unless somebody tells me it's gonna end in the way I want it to end. I'm not reading it, because there's no reason why we should be doing this again and again and again and again and again and again and again. I hope that makes sense. Like, if you know, if you've read the book, I feel like you'll understand. But if you don't, I hope I'm not talking in circles. I hope I'm being clear without giving anything away. But those were the 3 books that I read recently. I'm currently reading another book. I'm pretty sure I DNF'd a book because I think I started it twice and I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm like, what the and I just genuinely don't even know what's going on. So I think I DNF'd that one. But anyway, I will stop blabbering. Those are the books that I read recently. If you've read any, let me know what you think about them. If you haven't read any, I would highly recommend you picking up The Hate U Give. Obviously, check your trigger warning, but I think I made it clear what the book is about. It doesn't get much graphic than what I've described, but that doesn't mean it's not trigger worthy for some. So check your trigger warnings, but I would highly recommend that book. Again, especially if that's not your reality, I would encourage you to read it. But that is all. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to. I'm not forcing you guys. I'm really not. Okay. Thanks for watching. Bye.